this session, we will be learning how to create or edit information in the underwriting rules section of business rules. You can access the underwriting rules section of the page by going to business rules in the top left-hand toolbar, clicking on it, selecting a region. In the case of this tutorial, we'll select Nevada, and you'll see that the matching store that goes with it is Marina. And then we're going to choose a loan type. In this case, we'll choose installment loans. It's important first to understand that in order to access any of these, you must be given the proper permissions. You can see now that I'm logged in as a corporate manager. So I have access to make and edit whatever I would like within the underwriting rules section, or corporate rules depending on what access you're granted under the loan rules heading. To access, click on region rules and scroll down to the underwriting rules section. And from here we're just going to go down the list and explain what each portion does and how to edit it. First off, you can make sure that your underwriting is either manual or automatic. Select the manual option to manually approve and deny loans. Select the automatic option to have the system automatically deny pending loans that don't meet underwriting criteria. Please make note that the automatic function does not automatically approve loans. It simply denies them based on the applicant's information and loan details. A loan processor must approve a loan. Next, for the minimum loan amount, you can set the minimum amount you are willing to loan. Make sure that you place a whole number here. Sometimes people want to put in like $1.5, but that doesn't work with the system. It has to be a whole number. Next, you can set the maximum loan amount. For this, again, make sure it's a whole number and set the maximum amount of money you are willing to loan out. For this case, we'll say $5,000, but say maybe you are a larger company and you want to be able to send out $10,000. It's entirely up to you. Just make sure that you put it in the underwriting rules, otherwise it won't work when you go to make that loan. For the next section, you can do a max loan amount on the percentage of the monthly income. This sets the maximum loan amount based on a percentage of the monthly income. Very simple, very straightforward, but our system is very comprehensive, and once you set a limit here and you type in what the monthly income is of the customer, the system will know exactly what to loan out, even if you maybe do not. The maximum loan amount percentage on the payroll will take the applying customer's monthly income and divide it by how many times they are paid. If the customer is paid bi-weekly and makes $2,000 a month, this rule will limit their maximum loan amount to that percentage times $1,000. If this customer is paid weekly, it would be a percentage based on $500. The maximum monthly interest percentage. If you are limited as to what a customer can pay in interest based on the customer's monthly income, you would put a limitation in this section. And the maximum monthly payment amount based on a percentage. The state limits how much a customer can pay interest and principal combined for a payday loan based on his or her monthly income. You will put the percentage in here. So note that within these different categories you have flexibility and you have options. Different states have different rules, as you are probably aware, and you can only charge interest according to your state laws. So make sure that you set that up here in the underwriting rules, that way you won't have any problems in the future. The minimum loan period, we will go down to that for a minimum first payment period. And here you just set the minimum amount of time before a loan payment can be made. So that's simple. Say you want a week to go by until they pay their first payment, go ahead and set 7 days. Or maybe you want your money back quickly, and so you say 3 days. You offer out shorter loans, but they have 3 days to make their payment. It's entirely up to you. But for this case, we'll stick with 7 because that's a pretty easy number to remember. And the maximum first payment period, you would say that is the maximum period of time a loan can be out before the loan is due. It is important to note as well that when dealing with a line of credit, there is no loan period. It is strictly annually. You can scroll up here and it'll tell you there's either weekly or annual, but there is no loan period when dealing with line of credit. Remember again that right now we are dealing with installment loans, but if you were to switch over to a line of credit, this page would be a little bit different, so keep that in mind. But we'll keep the maximum first payment at, instead of 32 days, we'll just make it a month, because the months differ and it'll be easier to keep track of for us for this sake if we just switch it to a month. So 1 month, 0 days, that's the maximum first payment period. Now, next, minimum maturity period. This will not allow loans to have a maturity date less than the contingents put in this field. So we have 14 days here. Let's make that 10 days. There cannot be a loan that is less than 10 days old until it is paid. For the maximum maturity period, this will not allow loans to have a maturity date greater than the contingents put in this field. Sorry, right now we have it set for 1,000 days. And 1,000 days is a long time. Maybe you don't want to let someone's loan get that old, so you give them a year. You make it 365 days. Again, that's up to you, and that's based off your own underwriting rules, but again, you set it up here. Wherever it's set up here, it will likewise affect your loans and the way you do business. The minimum age is very straightforward. Right here, you just set the minimum age that is acceptable for your loan applicants. We'll say here, for our sake, that we'll make the minimum age 18 years old. That way they're legal, they're okay to get loans from us, and we don't have to worry about them. If your state is different, you can go ahead and change the minimum age to something else. Next, we have the minimum bank account duration. Here you will set a minimum bank account duration you require your applicants to have. In other words, the applicant must have a bank open for X amount of months to get a loan. This is important because you can tell the quality of your customers through here. So go ahead and maybe say you want them to have bank account duration for 6 months before you'll give them a loan. That shows that they're steady enough in our eyes to give them a loan. And the minimum bank account balance. This is pretty straightforward, but here you can set a bank account balance that you require applicants to have. In other words, the applicant must have X amount of funds available to get a loan. We'll say that, generally we deal loans that are between $300 and $500, and so we want them to at least have $300 in their bank account before we're going to give them a loan. Max number on NSF, or non-sufficient funds. Here you will set a maximum number of NSFs a customer can have on a bank account. If the customer has more NSFs, or again non-sufficient funds, than this number, loan processors will not be able to approve the loan. Right now we'll say we'll give them 3. 3 strikes and they're out. But that's, we're feeling generous today, so that's what we'll go ahead and do. But if you're not as generous as I am, you can go ahead and put in a different number there. For the minimum number of transactions, here you set a minimum number of transactions from an applicant's bank account you require that they have in order to receive a loan. So not only do you have them with a bank account for 6 months, but you also have them making transactions, showing that they have money going in and out and that they're making money, earning money, and they're not just, out of job and keeping everything they have. So here it might be safe to say, well, I want you to have at least 10 transactions before I'm going to give you a loan. That shows me that you're trustworthy and reliable and that you know how to make money and handle money. Next, for minimum residence duration, this one's straightforward, but set a minimum amount of time you require your applicant to reside at a single location. Again, this is just security, allowing us to see how consistent and reliable a person will be. So we'll say we want them to live at their minimum residence for 6 months, half a year, and that'll be good to us. Minimum employment duration. Again, very straightforward. Here you set a minimum amount of time you require applicants to be employed at a single job. Again, another security question, but another security limit. This helps to filter out people who are between jobs or bounce around doing odd jobs and aren't so reliable. But here we'll say, I want them to have a job for at least 3 months. And the minimum monthly income when they are employed. If employed, we will set a minimum monthly income. The applicant is required to be employed in order to make or receive a loan. And we'll say their minimum monthly income, we want them to make $1,200 a month. Don't forget to add the zeros. And the minimum monthly income, if not employed, we will say that we want that to be at least $800. Because we understand that they might not be making as much as if they were employed, but we don't want them to be making nothing, because that's risky for business. After all these fields have been completed, click on the Update Rules button at the bottom of the page. Scroll down and you'll see in nice bright blue it says Update Rules. Go ahead and click on that. And now your rules are updated. You are able to move on, and from here on out they will work that way. If ever you want to re-edit or revisit something, maybe you didn't like the way you initially put it in, go back, make sure that you're on installment, you're working with the same region and store. And you can adjust these numbers again. Really, it is that simple, and I hope this video was helpful in helping you to understand what these underwriting rules do and how easy they are to edit. So we will see you again next time. This concludes the end of our session on how to adjust and edit the underwriting rules.